Hey guys, welcome to Lunch and Learn. We have our session with Thor, or my session with Thor, or our session, however you want to put that, starting here in just about a minute. Wanted to give a little update on my SPY trade. It's plus 114% right now. So if you're in a smaller account, especially oversized, not currently profitable consistently, now's the time to de-risk right there, 17 cents to 37 cents. We do have a separate thread for posting tickers that you'd like for us to review. We actually had a couple of scheduling conflicts the last 2 weeks, and so we're a little bit behind on some of the charts. So we're going to quickly go through them, try to catch up as much as possible. But I tagged in the Tuesday Lunch and Learn, that's a thread off of Market Talk. Ticker requests need to go in there to make it easy for us to find because we are going to try to get through them quickly. Plus, we also both individually post charts, as well as this is being recorded so that the members that can't watch it can still watch the replay later. I'm going to go ahead and take this off here at 36 cents, so 17 to 36. Getting this posted in the alerts channel. And Thor usually beats me in here, so my apologies. We're going to sit tight a little bit longer because he is my partner in crime here on this Lunch and Learn episode. All right, I'm scrolling up now to catch. Let's see, J&J, did we catch everything there? I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the things back from the 20th. So while I'm waiting on Thor, and actually I'm going to DM him because I know we talked earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and start. So hopefully he catches up with us shortly and doesn't have something going on disaster-wise on his end. Okay, first one here from AB Prince is shop. Okay, yeah, he's headed this way. So gonna go ahead and open that up. And I am in the voice chat, the live voice chat streaming. So if you want to see those charts, you'll see a blue and black background with volume profile. So I haven't looked at shop. Actually, we did look at shop. I'm going to say probably back mid-May, which is where this blue line would come from. So when you look at my charting, purple lines come off the monthly, blue lines come off the weekly, and daily or less is all white anytime you see these. So we do most of these on the higher time frames. So pretty much the same thing as when we reviewed this, probably it's been almost 2 months now. There is a huge amount of volume that is a shelf above us. If you're looking from a volume profile perspective, 6482. Once we can close and hold over that on a daily with acceptance. So close and hold one day, next day we don't immediately sell back off, which is what you see here in this cluster that's happening. Hey Thor, how's it going?
Good. Sorry,
That's okay.
I got tied up in looking at the at the SPY hitting the head on it on that
Yeah,
441, 60, 70 area.
that was probably exactly
I
when I
forgot
took
it.
my exit on my spy contracts. That's funny. Yep.
Yeah, I just was looking at it and I forgot that we had a thing. I mean, I remembered, but I forgot short period.
Yeah, oh no, totally. That's well, that's the joy of we lean into our charts and we're just fascinated by them even after 30 plus years for you and 21 for me. It's I love it. So I totally get it. I went ahead
Yeah,
and started shop. We done shop about mid-May, and so I'm just revisiting some of those levels, just kind of reiterating kind of what I'm seeing from a
where's
daily perspective. So Shopify, I'm going to flip out to the monthly.
yeah, where
It's from the
the
20th.
only one
So
I have here
so
is
from June 20th because we are a little bit behind. So I told them we would
oh,
try to catch up.
all right. Well, let me jump there really quick to try
So
and
so key
see what's
level on the
there.
monthly that I'm looking at holding on a monthly close is 62.40. And so it looks like these levels that I plotted are playing out beautifully. So we had a back test to the 54.93 back in June, or almost to the 54.93 level. And net destinations ahead are 73.69 and 75.64. So anywhere in that range, which also puts us at the monthly 50 moving average, which is the blue line on my chart. And then headed out to weekly. I'm going to turn off volume profile now because now I have confirmed that all that volume is consistent with what we marked before.
Yeah, I
Uh,
just jumped all the way to 4 hour in one day.
if we can
And
on weekly, if we can get over the 200 moving average at 78.43, which is above that cluster I was just talking about, overhead we have to 90.92 range. So I'll post this chart, the weekly chart, and let you give your commentary.
yeah, I mean, for short term, you really give a lot of the. I mean, it's funny when we talk in here, you give a lot of longer term information, and I'm generally a long term player. But when we come to this thing, I kind of go to
Yeah,
a
I don't know.
shorter
I
term.
don't
So
know if I've heard you say 4 hour in these episodes before, so I'd love to hear it.
yeah, I just think that over 63.50 it has a chance, but it's got to get to over 63. Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Let me 63. Yeah, over 63.30 and hold, it can start moving up again. But if not, it's probably going to pull back. And that's if you just bring up a 4 hour and run your cursor across the top of some of the candles, and you'll see it hits the tips of the recent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days,
Oh yeah.
and you'll see it starts hitting the tips of some of those wick rejections. So to me, above 63.30 and hold, it can start moving up. If it does not, it's probably looking like it wants to correct a little, maybe.
And I
So
have a hold of that 54.78 level as confirmation that we're probably not going to see lower on that for right now at least.
oh, all right. Well, that was my input.
Okay. And then if it does run up, what levels do you have?
It's probably going to stop at, well, really not that much higher. Hold on a minute. Let me bring up a different. I use Yahoo charts when I'm talking about this stuff, and because I like it's easier to run my cursor around and jump from different time frames. Right now, it's something weird about it. It's try and reload. Let me reload this.
And while you're doing that, I think I should mention that a lot of the times when you see me post my charts with my individual trades, I'm posting an execution chart, which is a busier chart because it has anchored VWAP and key levels from the previous day and the T+2, which is 2 days previous. Where when I'm doing analysis here with Thor or doing my higher time frame analysis, I have all white candles and just moving averages that are the if you're looking at my chart, there's a multicolored red and green one that's my 10 MA, and I use all simple moving averages, no EMAs. Orange is 20, blue is 50, purple is 100, and white is 200. and that's it. I don't want any other color on the chart. I want it to be very clear and crisp, which is why Thor uses the Yahoo charts, but I can't look at white charts. They make my eyes go blind.
Yeah, I just like, it's really easy for me, and I also, by the way, I switch between line and candle charts as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, the line kind of really
Uh,
helps you change perspective, so that's awesome to hear.
a little, I mean, a lot of people, it's a little hard because it doesn't really give clear information, but it gives you basic information, and you can switch out to candles and see more. The candles are what I rely on, um, but the lines kind of give you an idea too. In fact, if you look at Shopify with on the with the lines instead of candles, you can see all the residue there that's just above 63.30.
Yep. Agreed.
You know what the thing is with this? I'm not seeing a big. It's got to get through a lot of stuff there to really make any kind of move up, but
So
once it gets above 60, the 63.30 that I was talking about, I just watch it close and decide what you want to do. I just don't see it's going to jump up fast anywhere.
and I have a little extra time this morning. Are you able to do like 45 minutes instead of just our 30?
I'm sorry, say that again, Cedar.
I have a little extra time this morning. Are you able to do 45 by any chance today instead of our normal 30?
When we get to 30, let's
Okay.
look again.
Perfect. All right. Next one is AAP. This is something I have long-term commons in and also have a long swing.
No, I remember that one because I mentioned that.
Well,
it's a great.
and we didn't like it when we first saw it back. I'm going to say it's early May, and then as I saw that there was no new lower low, that was when I took my long-term entries.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we said about it because I
Yeah,
didn't look.
the
at
first
what
one we were like,
said about it.
it's a broadening formation. It can continue down. Need to see some consolidation here, which is exactly what we're seeing. So looking at the monthly, failure to get underneath 6301, which is the swing low on that broadening formation, was what my long-term entry was above 67.79. And
Yeah, it looks to. Yeah, it looks to me. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, overhead I have $80.15, 80.15, and then 88.97. And I'm not going to be updating my long term because I'm be in that position. That definitely went in my main portfolio long term. I was looking to add that particular segment because I am a little bit underrepresented there. And so this will be here, but I will be updating the long swings.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I think that I think if it can get above I'm thinking if it can hold 72, it can start moving up. I'm looking at it a daily, by the way.
Okay. I'm on weekly right now. I'm going to post that weekly chart. 110, I really like 110. We could see some rejection there. So that's probably what I'll be looking to target on that longer swing. And I'll have to open the account to see. I feel like they're November. Let me double check what I have.
In fact, I'm thinking I might actually buy some of these here pretty soon.
Yeah, I like it. Very happy with it.
I think my buy spot is if it holds 72.
Yeah, I've got January. Oh yeah, I've got long dated. So January 2400 calls that are right now just at break even. So if you're looking for something that's a longer swing, I would definitely recommend looking at those. So my basis on my commons is 69.32.
Cool. All right, next one.
Thank goodness for
I'm
the
gonna put this on
reply.
my favorites, so I think I'm fine.
BPEC, which I'm having a hard time pulling up what that is mentally. So we'll see.
BPEC?
Mm-hmm.
EP,
It's still not working.
EC.
Oh,
Boyd
BEPC.
Paul Edward
No, BEPC.
BEPC.
Well,
Field.
I think we've already talked about my reading capability this morning. Just saying.
It wasn't your reading capability, it was your eyes.
Well, it was the the brightness on my screen, I think, which is reading capability. It's also my typing capability right now. I'm currently having massive issues with it, apparently. Okay, this is Brookfield Renewable Corporation. So it looks like this is an energy, probably solar, wind, alternative energy, give or take some variation of that. We have also charted this. Um, I'm actually liking that these lines are here so I can kind of gloss over them, reconfirm what I already had charted. So on the weekly, I had a key hold level of 3103, which we did, and targets above 3370. So this is in previous episodes. I'm going to go ahead and repost the chart. Nothing changes on this chart for me. This is why we do our, marking up levels, and then you can just pull it up. I will not trade a chart unless this stuff is done, this due diligence that Thor and I are doing right now. So if somebody else in the server alerts something and I'm like, oh, that's fascinating, I really like that chart, until these kinds of things show up here, I'm not touching it. I'm not following it because someone else loves it. I'm going to put my levels on. And if they work with someone else's levels, awesome. But no lines, no trade. Or no levels, no trade. So what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I have I don't, I don't remember exactly what I said, but,
This may be one that I did on my own a while back, because I don't remember talking with you about this one in particular, but I also have amnesia since I've slept since then.
for me, I think it needs to get above 3150 to have a chance to move up. And I think, looking at it now, it's going to stop somewhere around 33. And I think you said 33 a minute ago.
3370 is overhead, and then 3485, and then we've got pretty open room to 3903. But
Yeah,
we're kind of
right near. I have 30. I got right near 33 for a head bump.
and it's pretty congested up there at like high 30s. So I'm not in love with this. We're doing a back test to the recent swing lows. We do have a series of higher lows happening, but on the weekly we also have lower highs happening. So we're kind of in a holding pattern here on this one for me. I don't think I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, if I was looking at this chart, I'd pass right by it. I mean, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't trade it.
All right, next one's Tesla. We have quite a bit of stuff on this, but since we are kind of playing catch up a little bit, I think we should spend, oh, I clicked already. I'm ahead of myself. TSLA.
Yeah, I try to remember this one. I think that I said 290 was tops on it. I think I did. Yes, I did. I do remember.
So weekly I have 272.70. Monthly I've got 280.86, 286, 291. And it needs to cool off. I mean, that's I'm looking for, honestly, probably back to middle, like 250, 260 range. As just a little bit of cooling, and I'll be looking to take some longer dated swings on it from that point if we see a bounce, especially if we wick down into the 232 range and then recapture into the like 245, 250. I am all over longer swings on it.
Yeah, by the way, that 290 that I mentioned before, let me make sure my lines are correct. One thing about Yahoo that I hate, it doesn't save the stuff that you put on there. They'll just randomly put the lines that you put on Tesla on on Nike. You'll open up Nike and you'll have Tesla's lines on.
Oh, that's a mess. Yeah.
But that 290 that I mentioned, it's a little bit lower than that because this trend line that I'm looking at,
287 is what I just charted with that trend line.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah. That's probably what I would be looking at.
And so for those of you that have never listened to us before, this is almost like Christmas for us. We don't go and look at these charts. We don't have time in our day to look at all these charts. We don't normally. We're doing this so that you can hear us organically, like how we would tear a chart apart, how we would analyze it. And we're actually talking a little bit longer. Both of us would probably spend a little less time on each of these but we're trying to verbally walk through what the process is so that you can learn what we're looking at so that you can start to develop your own style, which is obviously going to be a little different from person to person.
Yeah, that's right. I purposely don't look at these
Yeah.
charts
Yeah.
until
So
we open them.
we're not like, oh, I'm going to go decide what I'm going to say and then say it. Like everything that's done on these charts is done live as the first time we're looking at them, unless we've seen them before by request. Netflix is our next one.
Yeah, or I'm already in it. Or something.
Yeah, right.
Okay, what's our next one?
Netflix, NFLX.
Oh, man. Everybody loves Netflix.
Everybody except me. I don't know why. I just have some kind of not love for it, I guess.
I know. I never play it either. And I'm trying to find a reason to like it right now.
We've got a broadening formation. I'm a probably if this is something that I decided I took an interest in, would be a 360, 322 to 3 maybe even 324. Like I need to see some heavy duty like rolling through that channel. I'm gonna readjust my trend line here just a little bit and check something.
I'm just looking at it daily. I see 445, 446 as top. It needs to get above there and hold to actually move up. But for some reason, it looks like it wants to pull back though. I don't know why.
There's a very low volume area. So when you look at my charts and you see a dotted line, so on the monthly, I've got a dotted here, which is why I keep the same colors and the same consistency. So everything that is a solid line is a high volume area, historically. Dotted low volume above us was the main reason I marked that at 462. There's almost no volume. So if this thing went, it would probably pop up to like middle 480s and then go back and forth. And we should be consolidating in that middle 462, 465-ish range for a while after that would be what I would expect just looking at what this chart looks like.
You know what, Cedar? Just open up a daily. There's actually if it can get above what we were just talking about, I'm gonna have to bring it out more, but if it can get above what we were just talking about, it can get to 508. There's a gap fill there.
There is a gap
That's
fill, but the low volume is what makes me think we're gonna go. And from a market profile or volume profile perspective, there's some profile repair that needs to happen in this middle 460s range before that can happen. So we could have
I agree.
that's where my worry is that it could stall out for a couple days or a week or so. And Netflix doesn't tend to do that, but well, no, it does actually. If you look back into like April, May, there's times of consolidation, and I think there's repair between where we are right now and 470, and it's a 40-point range is absolutely tradable, but I would stay away from shorter dated on that because you don't know when it's going to eventually be cleaned up.
Yeah, my you there?
Yeah,
You're on my
I'm here.
speaker. Yeah, for me, I think it needs to get above maybe even 450 to have a chance. But it looks kind of weak to me, even though it's got those wick rejections on the daily recently. Yeah, it does have a few wick rejections when it's sold up and pulled back up. For me, I wouldn't play it right now. Did I lose you, Cedar?
Nope, I'm here typing. Trying to type some notes along with this. Just it's always fun to go back and look at the notes. So when I talk about market repair, hold on, let's see. It's like a carpet that hasn't been vacuumed in a very long time. So let's say you rent a house out to somebody and they vacuum the carpet 3 times in a year, and you get in there and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to try to vacuum it. I'm going to try to get the dirt up at least a little bit. So as I rip this out, it's not going to be as heavy to carry. It's not that it's not going to be ripped out. It's going to take a while to get the dirt out of there. Or if you normally vacuum your house every other day, or in my case, every day because of the Pyrenees and miscellaneous things, if I wait for a week and vacuum it, it's going to take me longer to do because it needs to be cleaned up. And that's what I see in that chart with the low volume areas. That just means it needs to come in and fill in the potholes. So if you tip the volume profile onto the side, that low area is a pothole that needs some road repair. All right, next one. IWM.
I don't really like doing these, but
Well, my IWM swing is up 32% right now from being alerted last week. So I totally fine with peeking at it really quickly. And this is not my execution chart. So this is just our black and blue.
yeah, it looks like it's you know, just briefly looking at it, it looks like it's right at a spot. It's either going to go or pull back.
So I'm targeting 195, 196 range on those long swings. Just looking at this, we have a symmetrical triangle that we're probably going to bump our head up in that range just above the 100 moving average on the weekly. So pretty short and sweet because we have consolidated until we break out over that level and back test it. And remember, this is on a weekly. I'm not going to hold my breath on any continued upside beyond that, but short term, contract dated next Friday. Pretty happy with it.
Yeah, 189. If it gets above 189.50 and holds, it looks like it could do something. But you know how far?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on how far.
Trading these because they just don't move enough for me. That SPY top that I called a little while ago is paying off.
Nice.
Yeah, it stopped right at just real quick. I mentioned I think it's 441.60, 441.70. It got right to 441.70, pulled back, and it's at 441 now. So that was I hope everybody got in on that because it was really easy. Now it just went under 440. In fact, it's fallen.
Well, and we've got UVXY at the high of the day, so hopefully
wow,
profits
really
were taken.
selling off.
Yep. What is up with my?
That put I bought now is up. It's up 118%.
Nice. So I took mine 114% calls and you took yours short, like literally at the same time. That's beautiful.
I'm going to sell it right now. I'm just going to take my money and run.
Like robbing a jewelry store, in, out, done. Next one is DXCM. Leave with what you can get.
Say it again.
DXCM, Dexcom.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Dexcom, DXCM.
DXCM.
Yep. ES had a direct wick down to just above anchored VWAP there, recaptured pretty quickly, got bought back up to the 44.55. So just because we're talking about like Thor's exiting beautifully on that sell into strength kind of philosophy, don't get super attached to short here. We want to see how this 30-minute candle closes in 1 minute. If it closes above the overnight high, 44.57 quarter, it's not a short. Long hold short. All right, I'm going to throw volume profile on here because I do not have anything marked on this current charting format.
I don't like this one at all. In fact, it looks like it's getting ready to pull back.
Yeah, underneath 135.63, it's a short, just hands down for me. And these
Yeah,
are 2 weeks ago.
especially if this candle, holds, it's gonna pull back.
We have a tiny bit of volume
I don't know.
at 128.68. Below that, there's not much to stop it until 119. We have and it's a little bit, it's not a lot. Like if it got some momentum going, then 113.66, 106.71. My target, if I chose to short it, which if you have not read my post in the psychology channel, I have a pinned post that talks about why I don't trade short a lot. I trade futures short a lot more than I do options. So if you're curious about that, because I do get asked occasionally, my edge is described in there, so it'll help you. If I were short on this, my target would be 100. So 130, where we're trading right now, to 100. Pretty decent short potential right there. So I'd have to go a little bit more depth into that, but I definitely am not long on this one. Let me peek at the weekly really quick. Oh, good. I just managed
Yeah,
to.
I just, if that candle closes like it does, I think that, it pulls back probably. Well, what did you say you saw volume at like 125, 126?
My chart just, I don't know what the heck I did to it, but I clearly just messed myself up because I lost my price scale, and I've never seen that happen before. So give me just a sec. I'm going to.
Well, I'll just say if that candle holds, it probably pull back to 125, 26.
All right, I just pulled another one up. So underneath I've got 128.68, and then below that 119.50. So there is some candle structure on the daily that's 125.69 that I totally see what you're looking at, because we've got wicks and candle bodies and all kinds of excitement. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that line in there. All of that was based on the monthly, actually. And then below there, 121. Ooh, I really like 121. 121.69 as a near-term target. Really like 121. Okay, I'll post this. All right, you is the next one.
So,
We've also done this one. This is Unity software.
all right, which one was it again?
You?
Oh, just you.
Yep.
That's one of Kathy's favorites, I think.
We've got 4605 overhead from previous charting. Let me throw on volume here. And we have not a lot of volume over where we are right now. So if we can break through this, especially if we can capture 4605 for me on the weekly, I'm probably along.
Nice move today.
Okay, so we'll be closing today. If we close at this level, we'll be closing above the 10-day moving average. So as long as tomorrow doesn't open, I might even be a buyer on this. Not for my long term, I don't believe. I'm well represented in tech, and yeah, so probably look at taking long swings on this, but not until Friday, after we get through CPI on Wednesday, PPI on Thursday, and see a nice capture on the daily above 4605.
Yeah, I'm looking at, as long as it holds above 42.50, it's, in fact, you can buy it on a bounce. like with this run up today, there's a possibility you get a pullback tomorrow a little bit. You can look at like right around 42.75 to buy it on a bounce.
I
But
can't buy it on a bounce. Not me.
Look,
I-
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I call it like that all the time.
Yeah, if this
Uh,
thing sold off here, I would not touch it. There would be no bounce for me.
But look at the weekly and the diminishing volume. That's a little scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Any sign of weakness here, I'm like the groundhog that saw its shadow. Out. Done. All right. Thursday.
I would really have to see more volume to play this one. Chart looks good. Weekly looks good. 42.60 or so bounce. I would play it if there was some volume, but I'd want to see the volume stay in it.
All right. Next one, MTTR.
Matterport.
I have no idea what that is. I have never looked at this chart. And it's new, so February 2021 looks like it IPO'd or some variation thereof.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a reason to like it.
I like it on the monthly
Look,
as a
look at the
full
weekly.
on, full, like not below 258 period, and I would probably dip by it just above there 275. I might I'm gonna dig into this one a little bit more. I don't know a lot about it, and I'm well represented on tech, so like I said, I might dig into this a little bit more. I don't want to do it. I sometimes will go in and look at the contracts that are longer dated. My guess is you're probably looking at something. I mean, I'd have to look at the actual volume, open interest, that kind of thing. But my guess is probably September or October contracts. If you can get options, this is a pretty low priced stock. Sometimes they offer them, sometimes they're spready, sometimes they don't. I'm probably not a commons purchase here. I don't know. I'd have to go. I'll go dig into it. I'll update this after I post the chart. Levels near term, I would be looking at a target of, let me actually get it really, I call them scary candles, Verital. I feel like it's $4.11, but my cursor keeps going to 4.08. So 340 to 4.08 on commons is not a bad commons trade. So I'm going to go ahead and post this chart. So this reminds me a little of what you talked about with DTC, though, as I'm looking at this chart way back.
Yeah, the problem for me is I'm looking for a spot to buy it, and it's conflicting. I look around at it and I say, oh, maybe, especially on a weekly, if you pull up a weekly and try to find a spot to buy it, it's like, maybe this is a better spot. And then you look at it and you say, no, maybe this one over here looks better. I mean, I just see a lot of spots that
there's volume at $3.15 for me. That would be just enough volume to pique my interest in it for sure.
Yeah, it's at 339 right now, right?
So little tiny. But again, going back to data that we have coming out, this is something to revisit on Thursday afternoon, looking into Thursday close, as opposed to right now, because this is a dip buy, because this could just, I mean, if we have greater market sell-off, if we have any kind of tech weakness, this thing's going to get clapped, right? I mean, it's from $44 to $3. That does not mean buy the dip. It means it could go to 50 cents. It's already underneath that $4 range. It's already in danger, but starting to see a little more volume peak up into June. And the higher candles on the weekly, all of them since July of last year, all the bigger weekly candles, or the three highest, I guess I should say, are all buy candles.
For me, I like it and then I don't like it. It's just like really conflicting to me. When I get a chart like that, I just stay away from it. I'll come back and look at it later and see if what I'm looking at clears up a little more. Um, I don't know, I just can't find a spot to buy it, so, I mean, I'd go with Cedars,
Well,
analysis
and if
for
you do,
sure.
you go really small. So like I normally trade 1 to 5%. This is a 0.5% position for me that I would be considering. Maybe to scale into 1%. It's not a 5% position, period. It's very speculative. FSR is our
Yeah.
next one. And it looks like I did cover
That's,
some of these, so my apologies. I'm a little bit behind is how I'm double checking this. So we're at 1040 right now. How are you, Thor? Those were ones that I
this will be
covered.
the
You
last
didn't.
one.
Okay, FSR.
Is that Fisker?
Yeah,
They're into building an electric car now, aren't they?
they are, and they've done it all. They've done cars already. My husband is a crazy electric alternative energy like lunatic, and I have heard about Fisker for a very long time. I can't touch Fisker as a company. Knowing what I know about it, it's at $6 right now. I can't even like. Can we just go to a new chart? That's my official statement on it.
Yeah, Fisker used to, if you look back in the 1960s, 70s, you'll always see stuff like the floor plates on the,
Mm-hmm.
when you go to get in your car, the door frame,
Yep.
the kick plate,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
were all made by Fisker. So
And hair
originally
trimming
that's Fisker was a car
scissors
part company.
and yeah, they're a
Yeah,
they're a parts company for sure.
yeah. Now they're doing electric vehicles. This looks like it ran already. Um, I wouldn't touch it right now, but it could go the way of Rivian at some point, but they're going to have to do something and show something for that to happen. Right now, it just looks like they're a playoff of Rivian.
And for what I know, having watched Fisker for a very long time, they're not going to do a Rivian. They're not. So just move on next into the next thing. And they don't have the
Yeah,
backing
unless the
like
chart
Rivian
says
has.
something. Right now, it's not.
Yep. Okay, well,
All
uh
right, we can do another one.
okay, NSA. And I'm just going line by line by line and I'm going to get through the rest of these tickers so that there's not, like Thor and I just redid some of the ones that I did a while ago, so it's nice to hear his feedback on them. But that way we can just get them knocked out, get caught up, so that next week it's all fresh new requests.
I like this one. I would have been looking to buy it at above 35.50, and it did that today.
So 34.22 is my, as long as it holds that level, looking to buy on the monthly. So let me pop a couple lines in there. Lots of volume there.
Let me go to a weekly. I like this one. Yeah, for me, it's 35. As long as it holds 35.50, it might be pretty decent.
Above us, 36, 36, 39, 31. Probably, well, there's a little tiny bit at 40, 32. If we get above 42.77, there's pretty easy room to $50.60. So I would have a
Pretty
hard
good.
stop on this one. I'm going to flip out to the weekly before I make that official statement. Hard stop on the weekly under 43.22, or sorry, 34.22. I'm clearly dyslexic today, way more than usually not dyslexic, but today, yes. 34.22 hard stop on a weekly close.
Yeah, I drew a trend line from the top. The top is right around $70, and that trend line is a long ways away from breaking.
It's a long way away from breaking. I always draw trends secondary to horizontal lines. I consider the horizontal much stronger. I do like the trend when there's something like on the weekly overall. So after I've got my horizontal based on level, it takes me to something to the tune of on the weekly that $40.53 range. Is kind of what I.
Yeah,
So
even if you take a short-term trend line from March and draw it down, it's still a long ways from breaking the trend line. But I like the chart. I'm gonna put it on my watch. All right, that's it for me.
all right, perfect. I'm gonna just dig on and get it knocked out. So I will see you next week and in chat later.
All right, see you. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
bye.
Thanks for listening in.
All right, next one is JXN. That's Jackson Financial. Volume point of control is sitting at 29.10. So we have pretty good support sitting underneath us. I'm probably a backtest buyer somewhere in the range of like 29.76 to 30. And when we start looking, well, let me draw a couple more levels here. I don't really like any of this stuff. I'm going to give it 1. $33.16, and then above that, $35.02, $36.39, $37.10. Lots of overhead resistance between 36.39 and 37. So that would be a near-term target if we can close and hold over that, let's say 29 level. And I'm going to draw a little bit of trend lines now to see if I can come up with anything that I care about. Nope, I don't love that at all, so deleting it. So this is one of those that I'd kind of like to see from a weekly perspective. I'd like to see us close this candle body. So if you notice, the candle body is sitting above any candle body that we've had since back at the first week in May, where we had that pretty big sell. And I'm guessing that was something news related. That seems to be our largest candle since back to May of 2022. So some acceptance down here that we're now starting to break out of. So candle body close above any of these other candle bodies, and especially above where we are right now, where those wicks are in the weekly, would be important for me to be looking at buying. And that volume point of control I was just talking about at that 29.30 or 29 high 29.30ish level, I think if it got back down there, I would not feel comfortable buying. So I'm going to change that statement just a little bit and say, looking at the close on this week, I'd be looking at something on Friday after we have data shakeout. And then look at something that's probably 2.5 to 3 months dated as far as expiration, so not shorter dated, so that if it does come back and successfully backtest that just shy of 30 level, you're not completely clobbered. This is not a 0-day trade by any means at all. All right, next one is RVLV. Which is Revolve Group. I can honestly say I have never looked at this chart that I can recall ever. Looks like it started in June of 2019. So we did see some buying coming in this week, just above at the volume point of control, 1634. So above us, I've got a 2203. Near-term target would definitely be, we should see sellers because our next highest volume level is 2398. So we'll call that just shy of 24. Above there, 26. I don't like that there. 2608. After we get above 27.72, it's clear skies to 34.61. 37.91. I only love this center part. So 45.50, we should see, I'm gonna go ahead and mark on a bookend 43.90. So a little bit of a cluster right there. So there would be your near-term long targets. Absolutely no close underneath that volume point of control 1664, so fairly tight underneath there. But if you go $2 on a $18 stock, that can still, so I'll look at options on that and give you an idea. I do kind of like it here, but there's a lot to get through above here, so I'm probably going to lean towards seeing what happens interaction wise up in the like 2250 range. There's probably a rejection waiting for it at 24. Then that's my, yeah. So this is a wait and see, set some alerts on it for me. This is not a long-term entry for me right here. All right, Etsy is the next one, ETSY. If you guys will bear with me just a sec, I need to make sure that I'm not supposed to be headed to go get the dog. Okay, no, we're good. Yeah, I can't touch Etsy right here. Let me look at the daily really quick. I'm not a fan of daily under 200. We are above the 50 and above the 10. If you took, we've got volume sitting above, lots of congestion at 103.13. Change my color to white because that's where we marked it on, and that helps me keep it straight. Like monthly is more important than weekly, weekly is more important than daily. So purple most important, blue next most important, and they're pretty close to the same. And then daily, okay. Above there, if we can make it above 103.13, there is pretty easy room to 118.65. I'm just not in love with it and probably will not look at this chart again, at least this quarter. That's my guess. Could set some alerts and see if we can get a daily close above that 100 level, and then I might be more interested to just watch what that interaction is right there. But this is not a chart for me. PayPal is the next one, which I have in my long-term commons. We're sitting in the middle. I'm going to go out to monthly before I start commenting. And I probably haven't looked at this chart since last time we did it, which my guess would be sometime in April when Thor and I did these. We have decent overhead resistance above us at 74.02. But this is definitely a chart for me. If I were not already long, I would be long right here on the recapture of this level, especially on the weekly. So when we've got a swing low at 58.36, a hold on the following week at the 61.81, next level above is your next highest volume level after the volume point of control way underneath at 40.76. That next highest level is the 74.02. Above, we've got 78.24, 84.49, And as a reminder, as we're giving these levels, just because I'm using a 1 point on my chart does not mean that is an exact level. I'm not a like to the tick kind of person. If it happens, I'm like, wow, look at that. It's to the tick. Pretty unusual. I think about it like a 4 point or like a highlighter. It's a really wide swath. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. Close enough counts. So levels above here, 104.65 and 116.01. Above 116, we've got 119, and then nothing really overhead until 190. I might take some longer data. I might take some leaps and longer dated swings on this. So like and to re-look at the chart. I guess there might be a little bit of havoc somewhere in there, little bits, but it's tiny volume when you look at the bigger picture. Flip out to the weekly, see if there's anything that shows up of interest above there. All right, so a couple things pop up when I go to the weekly. Still, everything that we have had price transact, especially since the COVID sell-off, gives us more recent volume. I have 129.14. Change that to blue for weekly. Have what I call a plateau here. Let's make this. And the plateau is just a very similar volume. Almost all buying in here, and then we ran through it with selling when we did sell off. So I'll give you a range here in just a sec. 142.64 to 144.43. When the lines come closer together with that, I go ahead and mark them and give myself a range. 155.67. A little tiny blurb at 170. But nothing is significant. I mean, 179, maybe, tiny little guys. But all this volume right here, when you start zooming in, starts to become the minutia. But because we have so little volume range in here because of this run up in the end of 2020 or the fall of 2020, and then run down in the spring of 2022, this is that kind of concept of area needing repair. So getting up in here, we could shoot really hard. That's why I gave you that next level originally on the monthly, this purple line up here at 192-ish range, is could shoot up through here and then do this kind of thing. So shot up this kind of thing for a year or something like, like a long time. I don't deal in like it's going to take this long to do it because I have no idea. I just have price levels set. But once we start running up through here, it's like when you're out running like trail running, hard to get to this peak. Once we get over this peak and run downhill, it can be pretty fast, and then momentum starts to slow as we head up that next hill is kind of how you think about volume profile. So I'll go ahead and post these. All right, next one is Calm from Sam. All of a sudden, my Wi-Fi just got super slow. My charts are rendering crazy slow. Okay, my very first is like I don't even want to talk about it. Like I don't like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do some analysis on it. Below this volume area, especially from a monthly perspective, below 44, 43, expect that we see continued downside. 42 near term, kind of into this cluster of volume. Really probably looking to see what happens with price at 39, just shy of 40. Let's call it 39 to 40 range, which is volume point of control. If we lose that, it's 33, 37. and $30. I'm going to drop some lines in here. Definitely not in love with this chart. Not to say it's short, but it kind of makes my stomach a little unhappy. And so when you hear somebody talking about gut, is it because they're trading off of emotion, or is it because you've seen this pattern before and you're like, I have trust issues? And that trust issues can be both directions. It does not have to be just, oh, it's going to sell off, because yeah, I just don't like the price action on this. You could set a weekly close over 44.28 as an alert with confirmation on daily. Yeah, I'm pretty happy I'm not in a trade right now. My internet is super slow. All right. Above 44, we've got 47.65. If we do hold this level, flip my color to weekly. Above that, 49.25. And we're going to give that a range to 49.75. So that kind of just gives us a little bit more cluster to look at. Tiny bit of interest at 51.78 that could provide some profit taking. And the next target above there is 54.15. If we don't lose, especially that 42.42 level on the weekly. One last look at daily to see if there's anything I care about at all here. More recent trading. And I like it less on daily than weekly for sure. So flipping back out to weekly, get a copy of this chart posted. So for those of you that have heard me talk about the look above and fail kind of trade on the weekly, this is considered a true double top. So we have an all-time high here at the 63.15. We have a week low here at 62.14 or 62.50. So poor low or weak low means we failed to take out the previous highs. A true double top does take out previous highs and rejects. And so closed above, opened above, and rejected straight back in to get back to previous all-time highs. This is a classic look above and fail trade that would have been an entry somewhere like just above 60 with targets. If I were not looking even at volume profile, I would be targeting 52 like into this price structure in here from 2018. And once it loses that 2020, so fall of 2020 is 46.67. So this whole section right here, overall target 42.34 on a short if you were short from higher, but this is a no touch chart at this point for me. Missed short opportunity. GPK is the next one. I already really love this chart, this channel. I'll go ahead and draw it for you so you can see it. That one didn't work. Oh, even my mouse is acting weird. Okay. A little happier now. Wow. If it doesn't clean up a whole bunch, I might be done charting. Might be done trading if it doesn't clean up a whole bunch. Okay, there we go. Getting closer. Okay, there's my channel. So I'm a buyer of this in this trading channel at 23.41 because based on what's been happening for the last 2 years, while the overall market was selling off, we just traded beautifully in this range with one wick above, a couple below on the weekly. But my area of interest, 23.50, we'll call it 23 exactly and a half. I'm a dip buyer. And if we close the weekly anywhere below 22.50, that's a pretty tight out as far as that goes. And that's closing the weekly. And we have seen some instances of that fall of 2022. But as we all remember, fall of 2022 was a little bit rough across the board. So to see this little tiny bit of in context underneath that channel that has so many touch points, like it's super strong, it doesn't concern me a whole lot. Now it would concern me, especially below this candle wick from June. Yeah, the week of June 26, 2023. So I'm not even going to mark anything underneath that because that's your out. Above there, we have 24.81. We have 25.38 in a range to 25.73. And then probably all-time highs. I guess we'll see a little bit of fun up here at 26.68 potentially. And it could be where these candle bodies, let's give it a, I'm going to give it a range of 23. Let me adjust this level here. Give me just a sec. Yeah, snugged up to the candle bodies, 26.54 to 20, or 54 to 26.58. Should see some profit taking in here. So that's a trade somewhere from the tune of, it's like $3 on a $23 stock. That's some decent tradable range. And range trading can be this kind of range, horizontal range, or it can be in a trading channel. So until it is closing outside of that without context of the overall broader market selling off, and it didn't, right? There's our confirmation there. This could just continue to grind up indefinitely, which is why we're looking at higher time frames. I'm going to peek at daily. Yep, still love 23 as a buy to just continue to trade along this. This is not something you buy a shorter dated contract on. You want to give it room to be able to move in these predictable rounded ranges. This is one of the reasons when I first started trading, and if you haven't heard my story about getting started trading, I was pretty young. I say pretty young. Let's see, 26. And I'm 47. That makes sense on the math. Okay, yeah, 26. And my son was born at 25, so perfect. I was introduced to trading QQQ because of this exact type of pattern. It's rolling. You can predict that we're going to have 24 to 26 range. You can predict because that $2 range was from, well, we could even go down here to this wick, 21 to 25. Even if we stay at the bottom of this, we've got 20 to 22. So $2 to $3 range on QQQ in 2002 paid very nicely. And then even better once it's split. I don't think we're ever going to split again, but this is a beautiful, love, love, love this chart. Yeah, look how slow that's rendering. Wow. Confirm. I'm going to call it around 23 for a dip buy at the bottom of that channel. NDAQ is the next one. Just a little update on what's happening with ES and SPY or SPX products in general. Sitting above the overnight high right now. Not real aggressive sellers. 44.5875 is our current on ES minis. And we're not finding aggressive selling. So I'll just reiterate, not a short above anchored VWAP. Why can I not type today? NDAQ, not X. I got distracted. First thing I see right here is we're below the 200 on the weekly. Not super excited by that. This is the NASDAQ itself. So on the NASDAQ exchange, NDAQ, really not in love with it. So looking to see if we can hold 48.35. So this is the actual NASDAQ exchange. Not NDX, just to clarify. All right, we do have some volume sitting directly below where we're trading right now, 49.39. And so I guess if I were looking at this from a long position, I'd be looking at absolutely no weekly close below 48.31 because that threatens some of these lows right here, and I'm not super comfortable with that. If you're taking a speculative long, 51.51, I like that nice psychological level above. 52.64. Really like 53.20. 54.93. And we have a range of 56.92 to 57.17 up into our volume point of control. And my mouse is a mess. So 59.47, I'll eat my hat if there's not sellers there. That's my official statement. I think if we can recapture the 200 on the weekly, so getting above that 51.21 level, and there is a lot of low volume between where we are right now and that level, so potential, there's that volume cleanup. In fact, it's the lowest volume level until we get up to the $61 range. So there are some other areas that we could have these types of congestion that you see in here. And basically it's just filling in these low areas. So I can't trade this. This is not a ticker for me, but trying to give you guys as much feedback as I can looking at analysis instead of just yes or no, I love it or don't love it. Wow, it took that long to copy my ticker. That's awesome. PHR is the next one. And there's our loss of the overnight high. So tag right back down to a volume point of control, which is sitting just above the 44.55 on ES. We could just chop sideways into here. We're 15 minutes out from the 3-year treasury note that I have listed in Market Insights. That was my only real area of interest at all for any of our data today. Ooh, I made it to June 26th on our catch up on these tickers. So this looks like a COVID has been chart to me. Just saying. Don't know anything about it. So Phreesia, I'm going to guess it's something tech. Looks like it IPO'd in 2019, so summer of 2019. Poor little guy. So usually when I've got something that has this short of a chart in it and this kind of run up after COVID, I literally just give it a haircut, pretend like that stuff that's above there isn't there, and go, this stuff underneath this trend line is what I care about. And so that is something that is probably unique to the experience of COVID. I am not in love with anything so far. Nothing. Ugh, gross. Okay. Draw some horizontal levels. So when I start drawing those types of trend lines before I'm drawing horizontal levels, that means I'm probably, if I were not doing this charting session with you guys, not going to look at this chart maybe ever again. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what I can come up with here. Volume point of control sitting at 20. Might have to be done just because I'm frustrated with my tech right now. Looks like we need a router reset. Okay, 2575, 2659 is support under here. There's a huge amount of interaction here. Candle bodies and wicks are important, both of them on monthly and even weekly for the most part, but especially monthly. Closing above this nearer term volume point of control out of 2020. So disallowing some of the stuff in 2019 gets us right into the range that we're trading in right now. So probably setting something like a monthly close, you know, recheck it monthly on the 20. So that's probably where I would set an alarm. 3166 or an alert. If I can get a weekly close above 3166 to reassess, even though I'm doing this on monthly, and I better change all my, oh no, I'm doing this on weekly. Okay, so weekly close over 3166. I could take a speculative long here with a very tight out, like it can't close a weekly below that level. So it's not like I'm going to like let it go back down here to some of my lower lines. If we don't close, if I opened it Thursday after the PPI data, if it didn't close Friday or get really close to closing Friday up above this level, I'm just out and I, you know, call it a small loss and then reassess it more towards probably the last week of the month. If we can close this week fairly strong above here, we've got some pretty open lines to run. 35, 32. Once we get above 37, I'm not even going to draw a line there, but once we get above this area of volume, 37.86, I'm going to go ahead and draw it so that we've got it referenced. 37.48, we'll call that. We probably have almost a straight shot to 44, 43. And I'm going to give us a range here between 5307 and 5372. So anytime I've got lines that close together, that becomes more resistance. And that's confirmed with all of these candles in here. Or if it's underneath us, more support. So we do have that fair amount of support in that cluster underneath. If we make it through that area, it's 5701. And I wouldn't be super surprised to see it go to 5757A psychological B, this wick down here on the weekly from October 2021. And then nothing terribly exciting until 64, 61, and this whole range right here. So I'm going to give this, it's about the most frustrating charting session I've had with my Wi-Fi doing this. So my range up here, it's going to be really hard to get through this. 68, 65 to 70, let's call it 70 flat, is definitely where you're taking profit. If you haven't already closed, if I were long on this, I would definitely, if we got anywhere near the 64 level, just be out, done, take my money and run. And that's probably, I mean, if I had to guess, just on a general, because like I said, I don't really like to speculate on how long. I'm talking 6, 8, 10 months. That's a leap. That could be nicely profitable as it traveled through that range. Could be. So set myself some alarms on that one. And just to reconfirm, it's a weekly close over this 3166 level. All right, we caught AB Prince's that was left over from last time, so we're good. Did we do JXN? Can you guys tag me in Market Talk if I already did it? Now I'm starting to like all the chart names are starting to blur together. I'll just peek at the chart really quick. Like nose to the grindstone, get through it. Yep, we already did that. Okay, so some of these are duplicates. It was a little bit crazy with my this original Discord account hacked. Kind of created some craziness. All right, US 100 index, so NDQ. Let's go ahead and do that one.
Can you guys hear me?
I can. I'm still doing some charting stuff. If you've got any alerts, just jump right in and throw them out there. No, that's okay. I'm trying to catch up on my stuff that we missed, you know, through the hack and through all of that stuff. And so I was like, Thor, I'm just gonna like nose to the grindstone into it. This chart looks exactly like NQ because it is NQ, where the other one was the actual exchange, the NASDAQ exchange on the NASDAQ, which is very confusing. This one is the US 100. So because I have the levels already for NQ, for the sake of time, just because I do have more tickers to get through, I'm going to skip this one because if you pull up the NQ chart and this side by side, like they're the same. It's the same chart. Did I make it through? I only have a couple more. I'm pretty excited. BMY. I've not traded Bristol Myers since 2020 sometime. Looks like I missed all kinds of fun in 2022. Oh no, wait, did I hold on. Dates. I did trade it at the end of 2021, but I did not look at it again after we got above 69.70. So yeah, that was the last time I looked at this chart, was like spring 22. All right, zooming out. I'm going to go into monthly here and see if there's any candle structure that's interesting. We're falling below the 44.55 level, looking to see what this 30-minute candle closes as. I expect on ES we're going to actually tag down. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep my eye on the market here, looking for opportunities. 44.53 is anchored VWAP on ES. And we have not been below on a candle body below anchored VWAP since pre-market, no, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, this is another one I'm going to draw a trend line on first. Back to that concept of true double top. As soon as we made it over, so we had highs, made it over, sold off. Not aggressively, but definitely sold off. Another high and sold off. So I am going to drop a couple levels in here. Bristol Myers is not a short. It's actually a pretty good company. It is in my long-term portfolio from a very long time ago. And it's pretty spready options. Although it's been a year since I looked at it, so maybe it's not anymore, but typically. Okay, above here, we've got 59.43, 62.06, which is just below, or I shouldn't say above here, above that level that I just mentioned. So 56.47, 59.43, 62.06. Then it gets serious, 64.28. If we can close that on the weekly, continued upside for 66.38 range to 66.91 above there. Pretty clear skies to 71.23, 73.34. I need to adjust that. 76.82. Be pretty surprised to see us over that level. So those are the levels I'm going to leave on. Not even going to go out to the daily. And as far as entry, we are sitting, I mean, we definitely found on the weekly, if you see this volume point of control, this gold bar that comes out of the volume profile, we definitely bounced on the weekly straight off of that 61.75-ish range right here. That is, for what's visible, that's the VRVP, what's visible on the chart, the highest amount of volume has traded there since 2014, which is a little bit of history, right? 9 years. So I like the support here. And if I decide to take any positions on it, I will update you guys in analyst alerts. But that one's I have to think about that one a little bit longer. If I do, they're going to be 5 or 6 month outdated contracts if I can find something that I like. All right, we're officially caught up. So if you guys have any requests, they are first come, first serve, as you just saw, all the way back from things I clearly already did on my own and added Thor to this week. And we should be good to go for weekly moving forward now that my account's back and I'm back from my trip and good to go. All right, thank you guys for hanging out. Looks like we have a 90-minute charting lunch and learn session to upload here, so it'll take a little while to process, but I look forward to seeing you guys on the trading floor shortly.